Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you are enjoying the first day, the very first day of World of Freight Expo in Prague. Today, we are almost at the end because we have on our plan the very last panel discussion of the day. But then we would like to warmly invite you also for a Connect and Award party tonight from 7 o'clock when we will be awarding the best categories in our award ceremony, and then we hope you will enjoy also the first night in here in Prague at the World of Freight Expo 2022. So let's start with the very last panel discussion today, and we will be talking about sustainability in a city logistics, e-mobility and cycle logistics as the solution. And let me invite on the stage our last speakers, which will be led by the founder of Supply Chain Institute, Mr. Robert Sobczak. So the stage is yours, and enjoy the last panel discussion of the day.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everybody who had the energy to hold on through all the day until now, because we will speak about city logistics. City logistics is a special discipline of supply chain and logistics overall. Most of the people, I would say, understand under city logistics mostly last mile and parcel logistics, but we mustn't forget also about production companies, large retailers, wholesalers, or shopping centers. So all of them need also the bulk cargo logistics like railway, river transport, truck transportation, and so on. So it's much more complex than just the parcel logistics. However, city logistics brings some opportunities and challenges that are a little bit different than the bulk logistics. And this is mostly based on the very dense cities. That means on the one hand, the opportunities, so you can have many more customers on the small area, so potentially more efficient operations. On the other hand, you have challenges in terms of much smaller space, much denser traffic, much higher costs of your real estate. So there are a lot of specific factors you need to deal with. However, when I started to look at city logistics a couple of years ago, the first thing I have read is that city logistics has many, let's say, unsolved challenges because simply a lot of solutions need to be shared. You need cooperation of different parties in order to deal with let's say, the city challenges. And I'm glad that we are in Prague, because Prague has several good examples of successful projects in city logistics, and I would say most of our participants in this panel discussion are directly actively participating in these projects. And I'm glad you can see on the left Prague origin special cargo bike that's really in a real life operating in Prague and delivering quite large deliveries in Prague. So I would like to ask Jirka Strupel. Come in, Jirko. Jirka Strupel is a builder of the bike and the biking operator. Welcome. Nebojsa Vasilevich from FedEx. Welcome.
Welcome.
Pavel Hendrich, representing Czech National Post. Welcome. And Martin Marek from Dodo. Young and flexible startup. Jarda Mach, representative of City Hall of Prague, thanks to which we have a lot of successful projects. And Miloš Malaník from the PD, I would say one of the leaders in our Prague's city logistics. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Please sit down. And for the start, let me ask you, all of you, to shortly introduce yourselves and your company. What does sustainability mean for you, Irko? For you personally, for your company?
Thanks for the word. Have a good evening. My name is Jiří Strupel, and I would like to introduce us like last mile operator, and we do cargo bike delivery business. I have a few slides here. Very fast. And we can go. Sorry, thank you. We can go on the next slide. I would like to show you what we exactly do. We do the parcel deliveries from the city depot. We do also container deliveries and last mile Europallet transport. Please, could I ask for the next slide?
Do we have somebody to move to next slide? Irko, you can continue and then we will move to next slide.
Whatever, I am prepared on one slide as well. I came with one cargo bike, which is parked there downstairs, so you can easily to imagine how it looks like. This one is for parcel transport, and we can also connect trailer for Europallet transport. What is the main goal? To be friendly for a city and to save energy. Please, next slide. We offer, as I said, parcel transport, container transport, and pallet transport. Let's go. Next slide. In this picture, you can see how it looks like in a terrain. The common cargo bike consists of one box. We have also extensions. We use different kind of cargo bicycles, and for Europallet we use a busy lift system, which is its limit is 180 kilograms, and it has its own braking system, and we are able to deliver 8 to 16 pallets per depot in several cities in Czech Republic. Please, next. We support e-shops, logistics companies, local manufacturers, and we do other services, work 7 days a week, and also during the holidays, because our couriers would like to spend free time sometimes on a bike, so we motivate them for bicycle commuting program as well, so they should be friendly while attending to depot as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Neboj sa, you represent FedEx Express delivery company. So how does city logistics fit to your operations?
Sure.
Takže to.
Yeah. So I go ahead. Good afternoon, everybody. So indeed, FedEx is a global company, one of the largest in the world, and covering 99% of GDP worldwide. Is very important part of our business is indeed sustainability as such. Just taking in account that we have over 600,000 team members, almost 700 aircraft, is 680 something. We have over 200,000 vehicles all around the globe. So For us, this is not just a task about city logistics as such. It is definitely part of our business as last mile deliveries. As I mentioned, is 200,000 vehicles involved. We have that overall strategy put in a few sections, because for us it's very important to understand that aviation business, as largest air cargo service provider, with these 700 aircrafts, over 60% of our emissions is going through from the aviation businesses that we are doing. On top of it, our buildings, as we have over 5,000 buildings all around the world in 200 countries, they are also very much important from this emission point of view. And then, not last, but one of the things is last mile delivery. As we are covering those 99% of GDP, majority of those GDP is in the cities, yeah, on top of logistic parks and production environments. Over 60 to 65% of our deliveries are happening in the cities, in the city centers, in the business areas. Therefore, we have indeed the global team as a global company. We have the teams in States, in Asia, as well as newly in Europe, as FedEx recently, 5 years ago, acquired TNT Express in Europe. So FedEx is now have the big footprint in Europe. So we are now, last 3 years, established the team also in Europe. So far, we are working as per our plan on 20 cities in Europe. We already have 70 cargo bikes. I hope that that will be the team we will discuss, of various kind of the bikes. It's very important to understand that it's not just that easy to take a cargo bike and go out for delivery. For us as an express company, it's really about making the first steps right. Yeah? So to make sure that we don't go only with the bikes to the city, but we have energy consumption on our side, in our stations, correctly prepared for it. And that's why we are preparing the programs, country-based and the city-based, based on number of parameters that I hope we will get to that one during our panel, in order to plan properly where we go, with how many bikes, which type of the bikes, in each of the city where we are going to be. Definitely this is not for us current job or something new or something special, because we are in sustainability already for over 20 years as a FedEx. And here in Europe, just recently when FedEx made a big footprint. So for myself, it's very important, as I'm still counting myself as a young person. I have 2 kids at home. So it is very important that we take these efforts to make sure that consumptions, at least from us, biggest providers of these services, so that we contribute to overall effort, yeah, that we will cover during the panel.
Thank you very much. Pavle, obviously Czech Post is not a young dynamic startup. And I can imagine it is more challenging in such a company to bring innovations and focus on sustainability. So how do you do that?
Well, first of all, I would like to introduce myself, Pavel Hendrich. I've been working for Czech Post only 1 year, so I'm a kind of new mind. In this organization, I'm responsible for sales, business development, and my history is 25 years in logistics, and in my career, I was managing like 19, I guess, units in 11 countries, so I've vast experience in logistics. And now I'm trying to implement these technologies in Czech Post. Basically, what I'm finding out during the time that actually the obstacle is the state. Yeah, and I'm not saying that state is bad or something, but it's slowing down and everything. Yeah, the decision-making process is very slow, and so on. Nevertheless, Czech Post have a big potential still. I will tell you a few numbers. We have still 300 million letters per annum, and we have kind of 60 million parcels. and I'm talking about Czech market. So I believe we are still number one. I'm not sure, but I guess so. What we are lacking is international collaboration. Yeah, so Czech Post forgotten to if I compare to DHL or Austrian Post, DHL more successful, Austrian Post less successful, but Czech Post is not too successful in international business. Yeah, so we are trying to catch up. So Czech Post is not about innovation. It's also about innovation, but it's about catching up and do something nice. So coming back to the city logistics, we have disadvantages, but also chances, advantages. We have 81 hubs only in Prague. So we can imagine. So we were talking about 2 hubs for bicycles. So we can use 81 places to start a kind of green logistics, bringing parcels. Of course, those 81 hubs are used mainly for letters. So we just need to change and adapt to the new situation and start doing something. Yeah, so we are now investing into bicycles. Yeah, so we will kind of procure 100 bicycles. Till end of the year, we are also trying to increase our fleet in electrical vehicles, mainly in cities, of course, because it doesn't make sense to go outside the cities. So we have now 8. So saying 8, it's not a big number, but we are going there. So I mean, it's possible to do something, but we are being comforted with the situation that it's a state business, it's loss-making, and the letter business is declining, which is nothing new. But if you have, I mean, main business declining, so it's difficult to work. Yeah, it's kind of different motivation, yeah, or different culture. So. I mean, let's see. We have new government. The changes in the government are still not being kind of. There is nothing happening, yeah, in the Czech Post. So there is a new tender or kind of the position of the general director of Czech Post is open now. So we can all apply, yeah. So and if you are
apply,
a good innovator, yeah, I have a lot of push to apply. But if you are a great innovator and you want to change something, Robert, I invite you to applying for the job, and then you can change whatever you want.
Okay. Thank you very much, Paula. Thank you for being very open. Martin, I would say you are the opposite. You are the young, dynamic startup, at least for next 20 years. But I can imagine that your growth is so wild that you care more about, let's say, managing the growth. So where do you find a place for sustainability?
Yeah. Hey all, pleasure to be here. I represent the company named Dodo. The abbreviation is, of course, that extinct bird, but used to be Doručíme dokonale or something like that. So just
Perfect
to explain
delivery.
our brand. I act as a group COO, so I led all the countries we operate in, so Czech, Slovak, the Hungary. Now we are aiming for German, Austria market, and maybe the others on the west. And during past 5 years, we made some success story with Michal Menchik, who is our owner, and we were able to scale the company from 10 person in back office to almost 200 person in back office and almost 2,500 couriers in terrain. So that was quite busy times, and I'm really proud for all Dodo teams and what it lies behind. Because, as you mentioned, the scalability with innovation, with disrupting in the cities is even quite now, thanks to crisis in Ukraine and so on, a really hard one. So we experiment with the e-cars, we experiment with the zone logistic as a concept. We of course do the data management really properly, because one of the part of sustainability, what we consider, is the proper data management and data logistics. So I think that we will talk about it into more detail in a few moments. So right now, pleasure to be here and ready for questions.
Thank you. Jardo, successful innovations in city logistics could never work without very open bureaucrats. Sorry for using the word bureaucrat, it's not negative in this sense. And based on my experience, there are not many bureaucrats as open as Jarda. And thanks to you, we have some of, I would say, successful projects. So where does it come from in your case, your attitude towards sustainability?
I think this sustainability, in my point of view, is more about, or in city logistics, if you talk about in this topic, is more about trying to find out the balance between what we are requested to do by the public, like the using public space, like the environment, and the service the companies are providing to the citizens. And when we find out this balance, this is something I feel it should be supported by the municipality because it's the way how it can move forward. That's very short.
Okay, thank you very much. Milos, one question to you. Typically, when this kind of innovations and sustainability initiatives start, typically somebody needs to push and motivate companies to join, but there are very few companies that themselves push the boundaries. And I would say, also thanks to you, DPD, in my view, is one of clear leaders that's really pushing the sustainability topic in Prague. Where does it come from in your case personally, and how does it fit to DPD's overall point of view?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I will start with DPD, then I will go back to myself and then back to DPD. First of all, DPD is not just the Czech company, it's the biggest parcel road delivery provider in Europe. So we are quite a big corporation, mainly with the European coverage, and I'm in charge of the Czech Republic here. Sustainability, first of all, is very close to my heart. I'm vegan for 10 years, and it's a very sustainable way of living due to water consumption, and also the production of meat is very CO2 heavy. But when I go back to sustainability in DPD, it started 10 years ago when we decided that we will compensate all CO2 that we will produce. So basically every year, every quarter, we collect the numbers of the CO2 produced, then we combine it, and then we basically compensate all the footprint through the projects that we run all over the world. But then we decided that compensation is not enough. We decided that we will start reducing the carbon footprint, especially when we are growing as a company. And 1.5 years ago, we introduced a project called Green Strategy, which is basically the ambition to have 225 cities in Europe delivered with the low emission-free means, which means mainly electric bikes, electric vehicles, cargo bikes, and the walkers. In the meantime, after 1.5 years, these 225 cities became 350, and so basically the ambition is now stronger than we introduced. And by this 350 cities, we will cover roughly 110 million people in Europe. So pretty big portion of our customers we will introduce with very little CO2 footprint. That's why we are here, and we already have some experience with that. And we will talk about it likely.
Thank you. Irko, I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you personally and your company are pioneers of cargo biking service in Prague, and you personally were able to convince first customers in Prague to use cargo biking. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Is it on? Can you hear Irka?
1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Okay, it works now.
Thank you. Yes,
so
you are right.
How difficult it was to convince the first customers, And now we are in 2022. Maybe situation after COVID is stabilizing. Is it better? Is it easier now to convince customers towards cargo bike service, towards sustainable delivery, or is it still as hard as it was back then many years ago?
Definitely, it was not easy in the beginning. 10 years ago, usually people thought that we are crazy and it will not work. Even in other countries, it worked already, but we heard often the words like we are Czech Republic, it wouldn't work here. And we just start to do it, and there were some companies at the beginning which were on the same way, and now it's more easy because a lot of people can imagine how it works, and there are a lot of cargo bikes in the streets, and it's not such a future as it was 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Nebojsa, for FedEx, do you have any particular plans or initiatives related to Prague and Central Europe that you could share with us?
I wouldn't say we have a clear plan for Prague, so to be honest. So that European team, I believe that this week FedEx announced that in next 3 years we are going to introduce over 1,000 vehicles or something like that, e-vehicles as such, on the major cities around Europe. Because in Eastern Europe, including Czech Republic and including Prague, our model is subcontracted. So our PUD vehicles, so pickup and delivery vehicles, are almost 100%, is 98.6% subcontracted, and we work with suppliers. As we speak, we are working on the model how to build the cooperation between us and our subcontractors in terms of sustainability, because we would like them, together with us and the cities, including the Prague city as well, to work on what's the best sustainable option for us. Because for us, it's not only cargo bike. Cargo bike, to be honest, it could be maybe 3 to 7%, depend on the city, based on our data that we have at the moment, could be delivered by the bikes. So the rest, we really have to focus also on e-vehicles as such, to support that with the cities, to work on where the hubs or joint hubs with the other players on the market, to cooperate with them. But also what we learned, because Canada and Europe are for FedEx the key regions, which is good for us in terms of cargo biking. What we learned already, because already in 7 countries we worked for last 3 years, and as I mentioned, at the moment in 20 cities in Europe we have around 70 cargo bikes, different ones. We are learning it's not that easy to choose which type of cargo bike because of the weather, infrastructure, geographical terms and conditions around the cities to choose for. Then you go to the workforce, aging, because mainly, that was the legacy, not anymore. The drivers in the vans and so on are the older guys, which most probably are not the best, or they are not willing to move to the biking. Then you have to go to the new generation, how to motivate new generation to jump on the bikes and do the deliveries, what you do during the winter. If we are talking about the Prague, you all could imagine how it could look like in January, February with the snow, and how good we are or we are not in cleaning the streets and making efficient and safe, which is for FedEx one of the key things to have the safe driving, not only of driver but the others as well. So for Prague, at the moment we don't have a plan, but we were in contact, as you know, a year ago. We already have our idea of where and how we would like, but these are just small numbers as we are talking. When we would talk about few bikes here and there, but that's not about that. It's about whole sustainability plan that we are building with our subcontractors, because only in Czech Republic we have hundreds and hundreds of vehicles that will have to be changed. And as we know, I'm sure that colleagues could confirm that when you order the e-vehicle now, you can't get it earlier than in 12 months period. So it is a bit a long journey that we have to go through, yeah?
Thank you. And I will just follow up, as you said a great thing that, of course, sustainable city logistics is not just about bikes, right? It's about electric vehicles. It's about parcel lockers. So, Pavle, to you, where do you see the future in city logistics, regardless of check post or DHL? I mean, where do you see, what will be the main drivers of sustainability, so that the sustainability is not just a very small piece for just few activists, but how will we push sustainability to majority of customers?
Well, I trust that the sustainability or the future will be about combination of the right tools or right features. And what I like, for example, are the lockers. You mentioned that. Nowadays we have quite a wave of a lot of lockers. Yeah? So Alza having lockers, we are having lockers, everyone is having lockers, and everyone is having own lockers. Yeah? So now we are trying to collaborate with Alza. Also, our competitors are trying to collaborate. In Poland, they are much further. There are even more lockers than in Czech Republic. Yeah? My question is, why don't we talk and why don't we create one network of lockers? Yeah? And not lockers like lockers where on the places which are available, but lockers on meaningful places. Yeah? So I mean, this is happening partially, but there is not too much thought behind it. Yeah? Why not to combine all the streams into one network of lockers, which would be, for example, in one big house would be a kind of locker. Yeah. So these models, they are working, for example, in Spain. You can buy a kind of locker, yeah, and the operators are delivering it. So you are as a kind of, I don't know, a small municipality, yeah, or number of houses or whatever, they will buy a locker and you can use it. So for example, this one, I call it a kind of hybrid mode, yeah? And then you will have always a lot of customers who will never order in different way than home delivery. For example, I'm one of them, I hate lockers, yeah? Or I hate pickup on the post, or I hate pickup everywhere, anywhere, yeah? So I think you just have to listen what the customers are saying and try to innovate and offer new solutions. But basically, I don't see any revolution. I see a kind of evolution. Yeah? So we should be testing things like bicycles and so on, and it's commodity business. It's nothing. I mean, no rocket science. So you either have discipline, yeah, or you don't have discipline, yeah. And then you have some new ideas which are always there, but I don't see any breaking news coming to us in the next 5 years. Yeah, no.
Thank you. So in terms of rocket science or evolution, Martine, so what you see as most promising for the next couple of years? What do you play with or test or pilot now that you really like and that might change delivery in the future?
Dodo thinking about, let's say, sustainable future is based on 3 pillars, if I can say. The first one is via which tools we deliver e-cars, e-scooters, motorcycles, on-foot couriers, one of the favorite ones. With which method we deliver? So via the cross-dock, via the shared hub, do we use the gig economy via the shared platforms? Also the principles about how to be delivered grocery or parcel does not make sense, but it's via the, let's say, zoned principles. So you can share the capacities above one zone with considering all the SLA, all the, let's say, constraints you have to have above these zones. So that's a matter of algorithms, of calculations, of how to predict the future, how to estimate the future exactly. And the third pillar is how to convince our customers to be able to we can deliver for them. So my opinion right now is that we hittle the customers so much and we behave the customers so much that right now we have 5-10 minute slots to be delivered. And this kind of, let's say, express or instant logistics right now in current times does not make sense in the cost point of view, in let's say utilization point of view and so on. So we need to convince somehow the customer that he is part of our game too, and that if he or she is more green, we are more green too. So that's a matter of conviction and a matter of, let's say, mindset of all the people in the cities. If we want have a greener cities, we have to have or not to have one person per one car riding only 2 blocks to a job. So that's my view of future sustainability. Tools, principles, methods, how we can deliver.
Thank you. Jardo, we have a question for you. What's the Prague cyclologistics strategy for following years?
Okay, before I start to reply, I have to say that I'm glad to hear that the game between you, the users, and I should say the city, it should be there because we are here to save the municipality, or the public services that should be here. And I think that's the point. Back to the question. It's not the right time to say the short and clear answer because I'm looking forward to meet a new Chancellor for transportation. I need to consult his strategy on this, and it will be for the next 4 years. I can tell what I will bring to him and what I will suggest to him in cycle logistics. It should be, or we started with the cycle logistics depot on Florence and Angel, and I believe we should go forward and continue in this effort. But this municipality shall not do the business. It should be about looking for some space where it can work in easy way and offer to the companies to use it, looking for the conditions they need to the service they need to serve there and what we can offer them. So it's about looking for the space we can offer to the business makers how to use it. But it's not about make the business and run the depots. It's as a municipality, we really don't make a very good business and we can run some depot efficiently. So that's for this topic. And I believe that the council will understand this and we continue in this way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Milos, I was wondering, when do you plan to be 100% emissionless in Prague? Secondly, whether do you have plans like that? Whether you think it's a good plan, whether it does make sense, and if you could elaborate a little bit, how do you want to get there?
Good question. When I mentioned these 350 emission-free cities, Prague, in Europe, Prague is one of them. And the deadline is 2025, so that's cast in stone, and we started to work on that. And our biggest challenge now is basically the availability of the electric cars, where basically now everybody is looking for the cars. So it's first thing, so it will be in the phases. And also what Nebojša mentioned is basically the model we are working with is the subcontractors. So our couriers are not our employees, they work for the subcontractors, and all the cars belong to the small companies or to the individuals. So parallelly with the searching for the cars, we help the subcontractors to get the best cars for the best price, but at the same time we are working on the, let's say, compensation schemes to pay them well enough to be able to replace the conventional vehicles with the electric vehicles, and we are, let's say, having some compensation plans to allow them to buy the electric car, which is now almost the double price of the second-hand, let's say, diesel, for example. And that's currently the biggest challenge to have, let's say, to convince the owners of these small companies. Nevertheless, I would say, whenever we have a subcontractor operating 1 or 2 electric cars, they start adding new, and then they are our best ambassadors because, yes, the entry costs are high, but then the running costs of the electric vehicle are much smaller, so the long term it pays off. And one of the compensation tools we decided to introduce to these subcontractors, and we did it in Prague because it's one city, and we did it in Ostrava, it will be the second city. We told these people that if they have the electric car and if they provide the quality that is expected by the customers, their job for DPD is basically granted. So that's how we are going to motivate them.
Let's hope that the cheap operating cost of electric cars will stay as low as today.
Hopefully.
Although there are probably not many people today thinking that the electricity costs are low. One question to everybody, and I would refer to what I said in the beginning, that one of the biggest challenge of city logistics is a need for cooperation, like cooperation of direct competitors in many cases, sharing some infrastructure. And let's be honest, it's great that we have internationally successful city depots, for example, are great examples, but honestly, still the volumes of sustainably delivered parcels are still relatively low. So we need to think much bigger. So Irko, what do you do and your company do to convince your customers to share, let's say, the volumes on one cargo bike? So what do you do in these terms?
We can only show them how we work and make them thinking about the delivery business, and maybe that's the first point, how to make a less or more efficient system. Once a customer orders something, and that's okay. And just to show how it looks like and then send it back, it's not that efficient, because the worst things is when somebody orders something and when the couriers come, they realize then he doesn't need it, and the life cycle of each parcel is so a long way that people can't see it now, and I trust that when they see the life cycles of each parcel, it would change.
Thank you. Neboj sa, express couriers, express delivery is, in my view, heavily brand-based. Is in your thoughts, in your plans, any kind of sharing of whatever infrastructures or capacities with anyone else?
At the moment, no.
And can you imagine that?
That's the topic that in FedEx indeed is discussed, in general and overall, globally and locally and regionally. At the moment, the answer on that one is no, because we are still predominantly business-to-business express carrier. In States, in Asia, the situation is a bit different, where the FedEx is much more in private sector, in B2C deliveries than in Europe. It may happen in the future, or most probably will happen with e-commerce and all the other developments around us. Where we do cooperate but not with direct competition as such. Yeah, but it is with retailers, it is with postal operators. It depends how you define competition. Yeah?
Of course.
So, in general, my own personal view is that still, although we are talking about sustainability, there is still in the field competition around that. Yeah? Not only us as carriers, but even if you will look like in bikes providers, in energy providers, you will see the great big competition and loads of things, which me personally, I would expect that in coming, as colleague just said, maybe in 5 or whatever years, it will change. This will change, that we will all most probably less compete in this area than we are competing nowadays. So FedEx do not compete. We do share our findings with wider audience. We are investing our own profits into number of different researches, which is then shared widely with everybody. Could mention number of them. I think that's not important. So that's how FedEx at the moment see that one. So we invest in researches, in universities, in experts, working with Shell, with Yale, with a number of companies which are then widely available for everybody. But our own infrastructure, at the moment, the answer is no. No, we are not looking into that one. And one of the key reasons is because we are not ready. Yeah, so.
Thank you. Pavle, Czech Post is so big that it has enough volume to use quite large infrastructure. But still, times are changing, so can you imagine you as Czech Post sharing some infrastructure and providing it to some smaller companies?
Yes, and actually we've been doing that. So we are helping our competitors, especially on last mile, or we were helping, now not anymore. Yeah, so it develops. So we are not against collaboration, but we have to be aware of one thing. Yeah, so where the border of a cartel starts and ends. Yeah, so this is A. If we collaborate too much, then we block other companies to enter the market. So that's important to mention. If I'm sitting above it and looking from the really top, then we have to consider this. Yeah? And B, the question is how adult we are. Yeah? So how adult the companies are, because we are still afraid of our customers, that we will lose them and that we will jeopardize our collaboration with the customers if we are too much open. So this is a bit for discussion, yeah. So it's a bit soft, but what we are thinking about now, because yes, you are right, we have more than or something around 400 little and big hubs around the Czech Republic, and yes, we are losing volumes in letters. So we are trying to reduce some hubs, but maybe we can offer to our competitors some collaboration, especially in the pickup points, as I mentioned, or other areas which I cannot imagine. So if there are some competitors who have some ideas, we are open to discuss, and actually internally we've been discussing it.
Okay, thank you. Martine, in your view, have you any discussions that are not secret about sharing of last mile or first mile?
Yeah, about the sharing, in Dodo, we focus on develop right now the new system engine platform, you can name whatever you say, about how to share internal capacity above one zone. So Dodo has started to dedicate the capacities to client, and right now we want to dedicate capacities to zone and tell to our clients, hey, we can deliver for all of you, maybe competitors, but your unit price or your cost basis will be definitely lower for you, and that's the main argument we want to use for our clients.
What do they say to that?
Yeah, they are quite curious about that, but yeah, it's we work on that for last 2 years, I think, and I still need to say that We are still not at the beginning, but in the middle of the progress of that, because every time you deal the massive computing exercise, and it's really hard to balance this concept to our franchisees, to our third-party laborers, and to our clients too. So, as a first step in Dodo, to build the engine above zones and to fully utilize capacities we have in the zone, and as a first step, I can imagine that we open that platform to other competitors.
Jardo, in my view, one of the main factors to success of city depots, Florence and Anděl, is that the city convinced the companies to join a common project, to share the depot. How did you convince the companies that it makes sense for them?
To be honest, I wasn't the person talking to the company, so I don't know exactly what words was the convincing or the most convincing one. But I think that a very important part of it was quite a lot of discussion before we started to work on depot. And this topic was open there on the discussions. And other companies was open to talk about it and talk about the conditions we should start with the depot. So I think it was more about the long-term discussion, one point. And the second one is really the sharing. And I think the sharing for the last mile delivery is something that should be in the city, mainly in the city center. Because I don't want to talk about emissions and so, but I think the public space is actually the most problem of the municipalities in the city centers. And I think, or I believe from the discussions from the other companies like you, that the public space and its availability is even the problem for you. So the sharing is one of the way how to solve it.
Thank you. And last question to DPD. Personally, I was quite surprised how, let's say, active and open DPD was towards sharing the depots. But now more challenging question is, can you imagine that you would share a capacity, for example, of one cargo bike with your competitors?
Similar answer as probably other competitors. We want to have customer experience connected with our brand. Yeah, that's what we built our success on. Let's say great customer experience at affordable costs, and the first mile and the last mile when our courier is picking up or delivering in the uniform creates and has very much influence on this experience. And basically sharing first and last mile, then we would have to really think over who the competitors are to make sure that we do not destroy our brand or that basically we do not mix up the brands in the minds of our customers.
So if I understand properly, it's not a no, it means we need to make sure that we guarantee the customer experience that we are used to.
Yes. On the other hand, I would say we can say that our first and last mile vans are pretty well utilized. So we are really having very flexible schemes how to have appropriate number of couriers on the tour every day, because Tuesdays there are much more than on at the end of the week. What is not that utilized is our hubs and depots. They are utilized, let's say, 8-9 hours per day, and they are empty. And then it's about, let's say, developing new products that basically, or services that can utilize these buildings during the part of the day when they would be normally empty. So a service that is 2-day, some parcels that are not fitting the, let's say, the automated lines and so on. So it's about also the utilization of our hubs and the depots.
I will certainly come to you back in the next couple of days asking for more questions about this. Thank you very much. Are there any additional questions on top of this one that we can see here? If nobody, I would thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining, for answering, and to you. Thank you.
Nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you too.